Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Daily Fix. I am your usual host and presenter, Advocate Tudo Hoyane. I want to take you back to an incident that happened last year when Malisela Tifo was in jail and Longwe Twala was in jail. And they allegedly met according to Tifo. And Longwe Twala made some very damning disclosures in that meeting. You'll recall that meeting was also recorded by Tifo. As Longo gave him this information, Tifo then recorded all that information in writing in the form of something like an affidavit. But the most important thing that I want to take away from that is the disclosure that Longo made in that meeting. And these disclosures are important because I want to look at them in the context of, among other things, what Shadrack Sibiya has been saying about how the South African police services have been corrupted, and are seen to be acting in very unprofessional ways because they are in the pockets of some people. Let's look at General Shadrack Sibiya himself. General Shadrack Sibiya is supposed to be one of the first people to have arrived on the scene shortly after Senzo MEYIWA was shot and killed. It is very questionable what General Sibiya was there for. But one of the damning things that came out of that meeting between Longwe Twala and Malisela Tifo was the fact that after people returned from the hospital, remember, everybody went to the hospital immediately after Senzo MEYIWA was shot. And at the hospital, Senzo was pronounced dead on arrival. It would appear that from what Longwe told Tifo, this is coming from the disclosures by Longwe as recorded by Tifo. It would appear that a meeting was then convened at the Khumalo house by General Shadrack Sibiya, the suspended Deputy Commissioner Crime Intelligence. And at that meeting, one or two things which are very, very serious were said. One of those things was that when that meeting was convened, one of the first things that the people were told who were in the house was that they should not talk to the Vosloorus police. In other words, they were not to say anything to the police from the Vosloorus police station who were directly involved in the investigation of this matter. The reason we are told is that General Shadrack Sibiya informed them that they were still too traumatized, as a result of what had just happened, so that they were in no position to give any statements at all, as part of that investigation into the death of Senzo MEYIWA at that particular point in time, because they were still too traumatized. That I've said in the past that, they were, interestingly, they were not too traumatized, to be having that meeting with General Shadrack Sibiya, where that instruction was then given. Now, what are the implications of such a meeting? You see, what should have happened immediately after Senzo MEYIWA was shot and eventually killed? What should have happened is investigators should have gone onto that scene. And the people who were last seen with Senzo, the people who were with Senzo, or who were the people last seen with Senzo, should have been treated as suspects. This obviously did not take place. Because here were these people now in a meeting convened by General Shadrack Sibiya, and General Shadrack Sibiya was sort of, charting the way forward to say to them, this is the way we are going to deal with things. For now, don't give any statements to the Vosloorus police because you are too traumatized. And this was clearly unlawful because the net effect of that was to frustrate that investigation. Because whether those people are traumatized or not, it had nothing to do with General Shadrack Sibiya. That was for the investigators from the Vosloorus police station to determine upon their arrival at the crime scene, to determine whether those people could be in a position at the time to make statements. So we again see General Sibiya involved in this matter and involved in a manner that could easily amount to defeating the ends of justice. So General Sibiya is really in and around a lot of things. Now, in the light of the fact that, General Ntantramkhana himself has, referred to him as a criminal, one has to take a second look at this and say, what role did General Sibiya, and this needs an investigation of his own, what role did General Sibiya play in the narrative that there had been intruders into that house? Because you see, the focus shifted away from the people in the house who were supposed to be the first suspects. These were the people who were last seen with Senzo MEYIWA, and they should have been treated as suspects. But for some reason, they then give an explanation that there had been intruders into the house, and immediately after that, police go on a wild goose chase to look for these intruders who are supposed to have run in the direction of the park, and of course end up not finding any of them. Right? So, but the crucial thing here is, what was General Sibiya doing there? Right? And why did Shiko suddenly also surface on the scene? These are some of the question marks that raise a lot of doubts about what really happened there, and to what extent some people could have been involved in a cover-up of the real story of what transpired there. So this is what I want to bring you this morning to say to you. Let us now focus on General Shadrack Sibiya and the explanation that Longwe Twala gave to Malisela for while they were in prison. It sort of reinforces what Ntantramkhana has been saying, that General Sibiya is somehow involved with the criminal syndicates in this country. So having said that, let me thank you for watching this video. Let me thank you for all the subscriptions and likes that I'm seeing, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.